Sandra, welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So you haven't already subscribed and hit the bell icon right here, right now. So tonight I'm doing a review of the movie Fast X, which is the latest movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. Movie number 10, in case you're wondering. Now, I saw this at the cinema a couple of days ago, and I am going to do spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, if you're a huge fan and don't like spoilers, please do not watch this video until after you've seen the movie. If you're a person that loves to know what's going on even before you've seen it, you want to know what's coming up in the movie, then please do stay tuned. So, first of all, I have to say Fast X for me was probably the best Fast and Furious movie I have ever seen, because the action was literally non-stop and it had all the components that made the other movies prior to this one great, integrated into this one full-length massive feature film. And they brought all the characters, the main characters were in there pretty much. Now, there's a rumor going around that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is not in the movie, right? He isn't in the main movie, but I always stress on this channel, you need to watch the credits. What do I always stress on this channel? You need to watch the credits. Why? Because the credits tell the rest of the story of what's going to happen in the next movie, right? So while Dwayne Johnson isn't in the movie as in the main part of it, he is still in the credit bits at the end. So the bit where everyone else kind of leaves the cinema because they filmed the film's over, and Dwayne is actually in that, which sets the scene for the next movie. So I've told you part of the basically the ending. I haven't told you the actual ending, but I've told you that he's going to be in the next movie. I told you he's in the credits, so you know part of the ending, right? So there's a lot of things going around on the internet that he's not in the movie, that makes him sound like he's not in the movie at all, but he is at the very end, right? Which sets him up for coming back for the next movie. So Dominic Toretto is the main character in the Fast and Furious movies, in case you didn't know that. And he is with a person called Letty, and they have had a difficult relationship over the process of the Fast and Furious movies, because at one point they were separated and he really loves her. And so in this film, they're very much together in the beginning. They're now married and they've now got a son who they love dearly. And Toretto is like a changed man. Dominic Toretto, I should say, because there's 3 Torettos in this. Dom's sister and also Dom's brother. So yes, I didn't even realize he had a brother, but I haven't seen all the Fast and Furious movies before. I've only seen some of them. So I've seen his sister, which is how do you pronounce it? Mila or Mia? Mia, isn't it? Mia Toretto. I have got the characters up on my screen just in case I forget them. So Mia. Yeah, so he has got Mia in the previous movies, but I don't remember his brother Jacob Toretto being in previous movies, but I haven't seen all of them. So if you remember him being there, let me know. So basically, it starts like off, like I said, they're really like kind of happy families, and Dom and Letty are together, and there is a bit of a sexy scene, although you don't actually see them having sex. So if you're a person that doesn't like sexy stuff, this movie may not be totally for you. Also, there's the usual sexy scenes where they're doing races and the women are scantily clad when they're gearing up for like these races at these different shows. So I have to say the movie was absolutely fantastic, as well, because they did loads of different locations that were basically based on the previous movies, you know, and so that was really sensational. They brought a lot of the characters back, and they brought a character back from the dead, Han. Now, I didn't think he was actually totally dead. I thought they've got to bring him back. Surely he can't be dead, even though in the last movie, I think it was, he's supposed to have died, like the car blown up. But he comes back in this movie alive, but there's no explanation for why he's alive. They did make reference to it later on about he was back from the dead, but they didn't actually show why he's still alive. They didn't explain that at all in the movie. So some people might not like that for continuity reasons. They might be pissed off about that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Dom and Letty are now married, got a son, and all of a sudden they get this knock on, this ringing of the door or whatever, and this person comes at the door. And this is after we've actually seen a prequel. So I have to say this movie's got a prequel, and this prequel is very important you watch it. So in the very beginning of the movie, before we even get to the stage where Dom and Letty are playing happy families, there is a flashback to what happened before, like 10 years before. And so 10 years before, in one of the other Fast and Furious movies, you might remember a person called Paul Walker. And obviously he passed away, but he is still in this movie. And so yeah, they're basically showing him how he was before, like in a past episode. So I can't remember, basically. So Paul Walker is the guy who played Brian, but Paul Walker actually died, but he comes into this movie because they have like integrated him in the beginning part of the movie. And they've shown like previous footage, I'm guessing it's all previous footage, of how they basically busted him and the team, Dom, busted this great big safe out of this vault. And they dragged it away out of the wall, through the walls basically, and had police chasing after them. I remember that scene from a previous movie, so I think they've just taken it all from a previous movie. I don't know if there's any extra footage that we haven't seen before in other movies, or if there's any dubbed stuff, but it seems like it's the original footage they've used. Now, this is very important in the story because when they broke the into the vault, stole the money, they actually killed a guy who was like really basically well off, and the son of that person they killed off, called Dante Reese, is out for revenge. So although Dom and Letty and the whole team have always like been able to stay safe and be able to get away from baddies, kill them and get to safety and live happily ever after till the next movie basically, then this one is a lot more sinister. So this movie is a lot more dark. So the guy who plays Dante Reese, he is very, very good at being sinister in this movie. It's played by Jason, how do you pronounce it? Momoa. I can't even pronounce it. Momoa. Jason Momoa. Anyway, he's very good, Dante Reese, but he's literally a psychopath in it. So he is very charismatic in it. So you're meant to kind of like him but hate him. But he talks to dead corpse in part of the movie. Like he's killed these two guys, stuck sellotape to their eyes, put them in like deck chairs, and he's painting their nails. This is how psychotic the guy is. And so there's a very dark twist to this movie. And basically what happens in the beginning of the movie, it shows the fact that his dad's safe is robbed and that he's now out for revenge. And this woman shows up, called Cypher. She shows up and she, I believe, was in past movies from what I can gather. I haven't seen all the movies. I didn't actually recognize her that much, but I'm sure she's in other movies. And basically she's like a really bad person, but she goes and lets Dom and Letty know that this guy is then coming after them because she's bleeding out. She's like, like you find out later what's happened. She's had to her own people have turned on her who were supposed to be supporting her, and this guy Dante Reese is basically got them on his side somehow, and so she had to fight to get away from this Reese guy. So she's on the side to a certain extent of the Fast and Furious people because she wants to let them know that this guy Reese is coming for them. Dante Reese is coming for them. And so, yeah, so she tells them, and then the next thing you know, it ends up being a chase between Dante trying to find like Dominic and Letty and the family and trying to kill them. But first of all, they send the team on a red herring. They send the rest of the team elsewhere and on a mission. Apparently, that mission didn't exist. And so they're sent off. So they're split up. So there's Dom, Letty, Dom's sister, Dom's brother, and Dom's brother doesn't come into it for a while. Don's son. But what happens is Dominic ends up talking to someone who's helping him, and then she manages to get a message to get Dom's brother to look after his son. And when Dom's brother comes to look after the son, there's already armed people trying to get the son and trying to get his sister, because the psychopath is on a mission to get the family so he can get to Dom and make him suffer like he suffered all these years because his dad's died and he had money stolen off him, basically. So the whole film is based on the fact that Dante Reese is hell-bent on killing Dominic and his family one by one, and he doesn't care how he does it. He's literally ruthless. And so you see loads and loads of different action in all different cities and countries, and you see just like amazing stunts with the cars and everything. You see the car lifted up in the air, see car coming out the back of a aeroplane. You just see lots and lots of action. I just thought it's got so many ingredients, and I really loved the movie. I found it really good. I just didn't like the sinister bit. I mean, it was really dark. Like Dante Reese is basically a serial killer, and he will stop at nothing, and he thinks it's funny to see people dead, and he likes the fact that he's killing people. He takes great pleasure in it, and throughout the whole movie, it's like it's very charismatic. Oh, look, I blew that one up. Oh, I did that, and he doesn't give a shit, basically. And so all he cares about is destroying the family and the team. And throughout the movie, it's really like on the edge of your seat, like, oh my god, how's the person going to survive this? And it looks like, I'm not going to say he's definitely done it, because a lot of the characters that are dead end up popping back up again, but it seems he's killed a lot of people in this movie. A lot of people. One of the characters in the movie ends up allowing his own death in order to stop Dom's son getting hurt. But Don's son does get captured in the end. And in the very end, Don's son and Dom end up in a possible situation after the plane with part of his team is meant to have blown up. So you don't see any dead bodies of his team, and he did actually warn his team that it was a trap on the plane, and so they might have got out, you don't know. They might have gone on cars and got out, you don't know. His wife, Letty, still is in one piece at the end. And another character is, and Dwayne Johnson is, and so is another character. Don't know if I should give that away, but anyway, so that person's probably in the next movie. But basically, a lot of the cast seem like they're killed in this movie, and it seems like in the end, Dom and his son are doomed. Again, you don't see the body at the end, but I'm like, oh shoot, how can they do it? How can they kill off all these main characters? So it seems like they've killed off a lot of main characters, but have they? Because you don't see the bodies. And whenever there's a film where you don't see the bodies, I'm always left thinking, did they escape? Because they're very good at escaping these things. So, yes, but it's a very sinister movie. As far as it looks like the outcome is, it's very bleak. Like, a lot of the cast have been killed off, it looks like, in this movie. And like I said, the guy who's the psychopath is really a badass psychopath, a charismatic badass psychopath. They do have a race in this with Dominic and with Dante Reese and two other people. There is a little subplot going on with that. There's like someone's sister that's in it, and the sister actually died in a previous movie, so they brought the youngest sister into it. And yeah, I was just actually on the edge of my seat. One of the persons or people who painted themselves as good, I actually thought was probably a baddie. And then, so you're not quite sure if they're good or bad. At one point, you think they're bad, then you think they're probably good, and then at the end, you realize they are actually bad. But I thought that was a bit more obvious that that person's going to likely be an actual bad person in the end. So maybe they could have done a little bit better script writers for that. But honestly, I thought overall the script was amazing. I thought it had all the ingredients of what made the previous one so good. It had the banter between the teammates as it usually would. Um yeah, and it was just really, really good, you know. They had God's Eye featuring a lot. So Ramsey comes back into this movie. I like the character of Ramsey actually. And it's just a really good movie. I was literally on the edge of my seat. So intense with all the fighting, the car chasing and racing and stunts in the air, the going off the edge of the bridges, going into the water. There was a light-hearted bit where there was a bit of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, Good Vibrations, and that was a really funny scene, actually. I like that. And I just thought it was incredible. I would highly recommend you go to see the film. If you like all the other Fast and Furious movies, you're going to absolutely love this. It was incredible. All of it was incredible. I thought the script writers just did such a good job of putting all these pieces together, of getting all the best bits from all the other movies together and just putting them in this one, what looks like to be a final movie. But I think there's two more coming out. Either there's one more or two more coming out by the look of it, because it said, I read that it says there's two sequels. So I'm not if it looks like there's two sequels to this movie, to end the franchise, but I'm not sure if it's one or two. Because this person, the baddie in this one, still survives. They live. The psychopath lives in the end. So I'm going to tell you that much now. I'm like, oh shoot. So some of the really good characters look like they're completely dead, whereas the psychopath still gets to basically be scot-free. So this again is not a typical like movie where the baddie loses and the goodies win at all. It's actually really shocking. And you're like, can they really kill off all these people, these characters we love and adore? But you don't know because there's no bodies. Like I said, you don't actually see them dead. You see one person get blown up, so you can assume they're actually dead. But with Fast and Furious, you never know. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I really love the movie. Cannot stress enough about it. There's no actual sex in the movie, even though there's a couple of sexy scenes in it. At least one is in the bed with Dom and Letty, and then the other's kind of like the sexy scenes are more with the cars, when they're scantily clad women when they want to race and stuff like that. So I think it's not too bad. I just don't like it when women have the basically their shorts or whatever pants up their backside. You can see their bum cheeks, and yeah, it's very sexual. I'm like thinking, do they really have to do that? But it's congruent with all the other movies because that's what they do in every movie. So it's expected to be in there by the audience. I just loved it. I thought it was really, really good. And I cannot rave about it enough. I thought it was strange Han was in there and they didn't explain why he was back when he's meant to be dead. They didn't explain how he survived, how he's still alive. And it's not like he's a long lost brother of Han. He's actually Han. I'm glad they brought him back because I really liked him. But I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, he's come back, but there's no explanation. Very much a lack of continuity, as I said earlier. And yeah, I do like the characters very much. I think it's good that they brought back Cypher and they kind of gave her a more, they gave her like a little more, how can I put it, a little more good-heartedness in this, whereas usually she's ripping people apart and killing them. So yeah, they kind of changed the character a little bit to have a little bit of a conscience, I guess, or it's probably for her own benefit, but they still let her be a little bit good in this, which wasn't expected, I guess. And so yeah, I can't rave about it enough. I was literally on the edge of my seat. Watch the trailers because they're amazing. I love the way Don flies out of the air um from a car. But there's a really good bit where Dom's brother is looking after Dom's son. And Dom's son believes that his that his dad's brother is going to take him in this really amazing Jeep because they're trying to get to safety to the rescue point and to the safety point I could say, like rendezvous point. And he ends up going in this rickety, like this car that's like a normal car. And it's not a very good looking car. I think it's a car that used to be very fashionable back in the day, his brother says. And they end up in this plane. And you think they've got a kayak on the top of the roof rack. And you think they're just like disguising it to look like they're going down the beach or something. And that's part of the cover up because they're trying to fit in with the society and fit in with the other cars, just look like a holiday maker so they don't draw attention to themselves. But when they end up in a plane and have to like flee for their lives, they end up taking what we think is a kayak off, which is like a canoe basically, off the top of the roof rack, and it's actually like a plane for two people, and it's like wings with it that open up and it flies through the air. I thought that was incredible. I thought it was genius. I'm like, wow, what an invention. That's absolutely amazing. I've never seen that before, and that was really good. I really appreciated that a lot. And it's things like that that just added an extra bit of spice to this movie. But I have to say, the guy who played Dante Reese was very, very convincing as a psychopath. And, to have dead corpses and been painting their nails and, just putting sellotape and opening their eyelids and acting as though they're still alive when they're dead and doing a funny scene with them. I mean, it's really disturbing. They clearly wanted to make the film very menacing and disturbing, so you feel that Dom's life and his family's life is threatened all the time because this guy has no sense of empathy, no sense of sympathy, no sense of caringness and kindness, no compassion, no feeling for anyone. He just acts like the whole thing's a game, killing people, killing Dom and his family and his teammates. It just is like a game to him, like a joke. And so yeah, it's just very, very disturbing. He's a very charismatic, disturbing character, but he plays the character so well. Too well, if you ask me. Too well. Yeah. So I think you should watch the movie. And even as an asexual, even with the sexy bits, I think they are tolerable to a certain extent. You can always look away at those bits, and it won't affect the storyline. So go and watch Fast X. Go and see it at the cinema. Be on the edge of your seat. Be prepared for the action thriller of your life, if you know what I mean. It's not totally a thriller, but it's definitely action, adventure, and it's like on the edge of your seat stuff. Go and see it, go and enjoy it, and write and leave me comments below what you think of this movie. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit the bell icon. And yeah, I haven't given too much away about who dies and what happens. So I hope you've enjoyed this peek into the movie. I'll see you soon next for a live stream. Lots of love. Take care. Bye. Have fun.